Have you ever found yourself reacting emotionally to someone's manipulative tactics only to regret it later? That's exactly what narcissists aim for through a tactic called baiting. So in today's video, we'll uncover the reasons narcissists bait their victims and the different methods that they use to keep you hooked. My name is Deanna King, for those who don't know me, and this channel is All Talk Narcissism and Codependency. And today's video is all about understanding baiting so that you don't fall into another trap with them. So let's get right into it. Narcissists are masters of manipulation, and one of the most insidious tactics is baiting. Baiting is a psychological tactic used to provoke a response from their victims, often to gain control, provoke an emotional reaction, or shift blame. Understanding the reasons narcissists bait their victims and the different methods that they use can help you recognize their tactics and protect yourself from falling into their traps. Baiting is when a narcissist provokes you to react emotionally so that they can regain control, feed their ego, or shift the blame. The bottom line is baiting is a way to manipulate you into playing their game. Narcissists bait others for control and dominance. They'll intentionally provoke emotional responses only to turn around and use the other person's response to make themselves appear calm and composed, while the victim appears unhinged. So why do narcissists bait their victims? Narcissists bait their victims for various reasons, but the common thread is control. Some of the key motivations behind their baiting behavior: the first one is, of course, is to seek attention. Narcissists, they crave attention, whether positive or negative. So if they feel ignored or unimportant, they will bait you to get any reaction. Doesn't matter if the reaction is anger, frustration, or even sadness, as long as they're the center of your focus. A lot of times you guys don't know why it's Hyde that walked into the house rather than Jekyll when everything seemed fine that morning. But often what happens is that the narcissist was either criticized at work or not noticed at lunch, or someone else was praised, things like that, where they weren't made to feel that they were these ultimate supreme beings. And this runs them on empty. It literally does. And at that point, the only way to ensure their survival is to find ways to become front and center again. Narcissists are cowards in hiding, so they won't say anything at work. Some might, like the overt, but most won't, especially the covert. Appearances are everything to them. So what they'll do is come home and find ways to provoke a fight. That way they gain two things. They get to get their anger out, and secondly, they get to be front and center once again where they believe they belong. And an example could be that they might send a provocative text, or they might bring up a past issue to reignite old arguments. Or if they can't find something right away, they'll walk in with a cold, stern look. But when you ask them what's wrong, you'll get no response. So what happens next, as you all know, is that you're starting to walk on eggshells, because you know that there's a landmine somewhere, right? And this eggshell walk, it helps them to regain their power, and then it becomes a game to them. They're reminded of how powerful they are in their capacity to make you feel afraid. That and the idea of winning through accomplishing the goal of provoking that wanted fight. They'll use sarcasm, insults, rolling of the eyes to make you feel insignificant. They'll leave their socks on the floor or dirty dishes all over the place. They'll provoke like that until eventually you blow. They won't stop until you do. So you might as well just get it over with, because regardless of whether it takes an hour to get you to react or a week, they're winning no matter what. This is abuse. This is a big deal. They wanted to provoke a reaction and they got it. Narcissists thrive on emotional reactions because it gives them a huge sense of power and control. They will find ways to bait you into arguments, emotional outbursts, or defensive behavior. They might make a horrible remark about your appearance or abilities, knowing that it will upset you. And when it does, they've hit the jackpot. I remember back when I was pregnant for my youngest child, I was on my way to a funeral where my husband couldn't have bothered to attend. Anyway, I had to buy a black outfit since my regular clothes no longer fit me. So I asked him how I looked, as in, was the outfit okay? And his response was, "You look like a fat Italian." That poor man ate pasta for a week after that. Another reason is to deflect blame. Baiting is often used as a tactic to deflect blame and shift the focus from their behavior to yours. So by baiting you into an emotional response, they can then accuse you of being unreasonable or out of control. For example, you might want to address an issue that you're having in the relationship. Perhaps the narcissist in your life is your partner and they never include you in any outer events and you'd like to be included. Or maybe they've cheated on you and you have proof. So now this issue that you wanted to address turns into total chaos, where now it's your fault that they cheated because you're always in a bad mood, or it's your fault that they don't take you out because you're always flirting with everyone when you aren't. But the point is that they'll deflect the blame so as not to take responsibility for their bad behavior. And they might also bait you just to test your boundaries. Narcissists love pushing boundaries. Remember, it's all about control. So in their minds, let the games begin. Narcissists are constantly testing the boundaries of their victims. They want to see how far that they can push you before you react. And then they use baiting to check your limits. And an example of that would be that they might make subtle jabs at your friends or family to see if you'll defend them, or if a decluttered space is important for you, for your sense of peace. They'll purposely leave dishes all over the counter or throw things in the garage without putting them in their proper place. I'm just looking for examples here. They'll call you an extra name if name calling is a boundary. They'll walk steps in front of you when you go somewhere. And the list goes on. But basically, they are seeing how far that they can push you until you no longer accept it. And what that does is it shows them how weak you are, unfortunately. We all have weaknesses. We're all human here. So don't be down on yourself for that one. And that is going to determine how much they can mold you. Can I get their house under my name? Can I get them to give me money to start a business? Can I cheat? Can I have my cake and eat it too? So stop trying to be nice and take back your power. Narcissists bait to maintain power and control over their victims. By keeping you emotionally reactive, they ensure that you remain dependent on them for validation, approval, or a sense of peace. So let's look at some common methods of narcissistic baiting here. Narcissists have a variety of baiting techniques they use to trap their victims, and fear is a huge one. Narcissistic individuals often use fear as a powerful baiting tactic to keep their partners feeling anxious, insecure, and on edge. They often achieve this by using intimidation, threats, or unpredictable behavior to maintain control in the relationship. And the goal is to manipulate their partner into compliance, keeping them in a state of emotional vulnerability. And this can show up in different ways, from making veiled threats to outright statements like, if you don't do what I want, I will leave. Or even threatening self-harm to provoke guilt and keep the partner from leaving. So while you're feeling sorry for them, they're controlling you. Some might use physical intimidation by invading personal space, standing too close, or making aggressive gestures to assert dominance and create a sense of fear. In other cases, narcissists might engage in more subtle intimidation tactics, like openly flirting with others or bragging about their achievements to make their partner feel inadequate or jealous. And these behaviors are intended to provoke emotional reactions, giving the narcissist the upper hand in the relationship. Love bombing. In the early stages of a relationship, narcissists often use love bombing as a form of bait. They shower you with attention, compliments, and gifts to lure you into trusting them. And this works because it creates an emotional high, making you more likely to overlook red flags later. And even once the relationship is established, they can still use love bombing to bait you. Anything that they might need from you down the line can be a motive to love bomb. And this can look like anything from an extravagant gift to a simple compliment in passing or a gesture. Triangulation is another way that they can bait you. Triangulation involves bringing a third party into the dynamic to create jealousy, insecurity, and competition. And an example of that is they might mention an ex-partner or compare you to someone else to provoke a reaction. Or they might tell you that your sibling has no respect for you and say the same thing to the sibling about you. It's all about getting you to react so that they can control you. So if they want to isolate you, this tactic can upset you enough to walk away from any relationship that you may have had with a sibling or siblings or friends and keep you home under their control. The silent treatment is a big one also. The silent treatment is a passive-aggressive form of baiting. By ignoring you, the narcissist baits you into seeking their attention and validation because it increases anxiety and confusion, making you desperate for their approval. And this way, they get supply from you as you run around trying to please them in some way. You might invite them out to somewhere special just to try to bring that relationship back, right? Or write all kinds of loving emails in an attempt to stop all the chaos. And in this, they get both supply where all attention is on them and more control where they feel superior. I mean, they're being rewarded for bad behavior. They'll also use guilt tripping as a baiting tactic. Narcissists often play the victim to make you feel guilty, and this form of baiting is designed to make you feel responsible for their emotions. An example of that is, after all I've done for you, this is how you treat me? Then there's provocation. Narcissists can use direct provocation to get an emotional response, and this can include insults, accusations, or bringing up sensitive topics, like accusing you of things that you haven't even done. And the list goes on. There just isn't any end with their baiting. It's constantly trying to find ways to control you by using your emotional state. It is cruel. So please, from here on in, pay attention to all of the things that they do to bait you. Pay attention to how you're being treated. Pay attention to how you feel. And know full well that you are being controlled 24/7. Being in a relationship with a narcissist is a serious matter, and this is your life in their hands. But you can take back control. It's just a decision that you can make. These narcissists are not all these all-powerful beings. That is the mask. They are the opposite of all of that. So I leave you with all of this to ponder on in hopes that you will start to be good to yourselves, because you do deserve good in your life, no matter what the narcissist says. Take care, and we shall see you in the next video. Bye for now.